The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum Heist. In the early hours of March 18, 1990, two men dressed as Boston police officers approached the side entrance of the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. They claimed to be responding to a disturbance. The security guards, trusting the uniforms, buzzed them inside. It was a decision that would lead to the greatest art theft in history. The museum housed an extraordinary collection amassed by its namesake, a wealthy patron who had filled her Venetian-style palace with masterpieces. Among them were works by Rembrandt, Vermeer, Degas, and Manet. The security system, however, was inadequate for such treasures. Motion detectors were poorly positioned, and cameras recorded only to a device that could be easily removed. Once inside, the thieves handcuffed the guards and duct-taped them in the basement. For the next 81 minutes, they moved through the galleries with apparent purpose. They cut paintings from their frames, leaving jagged edges and empty spaces on the walls. 13 works were taken, including Rembrandt's Only Seascape and Vermeer's The Concert, one of only 34 known paintings by the artist. The estimated value exceeded $500 million. When the guards were discovered the next morning, investigators found a museum violated but few useful clues. Despite decades of investigation, international cooperation, and a $10 million reward, not a single piece has been recovered. The empty frames still hang in the Gardner Museum, silent witnesses to an audacious crime. They serve as a reminder that even the greatest treasures remain vulnerable to human cunning and institutional complacency. D.B. Cooper. On a rainy Thanksgiving Eve in 1971, a man in a business suit and sunglasses bought a one-way ticket to Seattle. Under the name Dan Cooper, he boarded Northwest Orient Flight 305 carrying a briefcase and a calm demeanor that betrayed nothing of what was to come. The plane was a Boeing 727, a common aircraft on the route from Portland to Seattle, filled with 36 passengers expecting a routine hour-long flight. Shortly after takeoff, the man handed a note to a flight attendant. It claimed he had a bomb. When she read it, he opened his briefcase to reveal red cylinders, wires, and a battery. His demands were precise: $200,000 in $20 bills, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck standing by in Seattle. His voice remained courteous throughout, even ordering a bourbon and soda while authorities scrambled to meet his terms. The plane landed in Seattle, where the ransom and parachutes were delivered. Cooper released all passengers and 2 flight attendants, keeping only the cockpit crew. He ordered the plane to fly to Mexico City at minimum speed and maximum altitude, somewhere over the dense forests of the Pacific Northwest. In darkness and a rainstorm, he lowered the rear stairs and jumped into the night with the money strapped to his body. Despite one of the most extensive manhunts in FBI history, no trace of Cooper was ever found. In 1980, a boy discovered $5,800 of the ransom money along the Columbia River, but Cooper himself vanished completely. The case remains the only unsolved skyjacking in American aviation history. It proves that sometimes the perfect crime is simply disappearing. The Antwerp Diamond Heist. Beneath the streets of Antwerp, the diamond capital of the world, lay a vault protected by 10 layers of security. It was considered impenetrable, a fortress designed to guard billions in precious gems. The vault sat 2 floors below ground in the Antwerp Diamond Center, sealed behind combinations, motion detectors, heat sensors, and seismic alarms. The door itself weighed multiple tons and could only be opened by a precise sequence known to a select few. For the merchants who stored their wealth there, it represented absolute safety. Leonardo Notarbartolo was a charming Italian with decades of experience in the diamond trade. In 2000, he rented an office in the building, becoming a familiar face to security guards and merchants alike. For over 2 years, he studied every camera angle, every shift change, every vulnerable moment. He and his team rehearsed their approach with obsessive precision. They would need to bypass infrared heat detectors, fool motion sensors, crack a combination lock, and disable a magnetic alarm, all without triggering a single little warning. Over the weekend of February 15, 2003, they executed their plan flawlessly, using hairspray to obscure cameras and a custom-built device to defeat the combination. They gained entry to the vault. For hours, they methodically emptied safe deposit boxes, filling duffel bags with diamonds, gold, and jewelry. The total haul exceeded $100 million. Days later, Notarbartolo was arrested after police found discarded evidence near the crime scene. He served 10 years in prison, but the diamonds were never recovered. It remains one of the largest diamond heists in history, a testament to patience and precision. The Irish Crown Jewels. In Dublin Castle in 1907, the Crown Jewels of Ireland rested in a safe that only 4 men could access. The regalia included a diamond star, a badge of the Order of St. Patrick, and 5 gold collars encrusted with precious stones. Together, they represented centuries of Irish history and were valued at what would be millions today. The jewels were kept in the Office of Arms, a building within the castle complex, under the watch of Sir Arthur Vickers, the Ulster King of Arms. The safe required 2 keys, and the strong room door had another lock. It seemed impregnable. On July 6th, just days before King Edward VII was scheduled to visit Dublin, a clerk discovered the safe open and empty. The jewels had vanished without a trace. There were no signs of forced entry, no broken locks, and no disturbance. The theft had occurred sometime in the preceding days, yet no one had noticed. The timing could not have been worse, transforming a royal celebration into a national humiliation. Investigations revealed disturbing details. Keys had gone missing and been returned. The safe had been found unlocked on previous occasions. Suspicion fell on the 4 key holders, particularly Francis Shackleton, brother of the famous explorer. Rumors circulated of gambling debts, homosexual relationships, and blackmail within the Office of Arms. The scandal threatened powerful reputations, and the investigation was quietly buried. No one was ever charged. The jewels were never recovered. Some believe they were melted down or sold abroad. Others suggest they were destroyed during Ireland's turbulent struggle for independence. The theft remains a monument to secrets kept and justice denied. The Brinksmat Robbery. On November 26, 1983, 6 masked men entered a warehouse at Heathrow Airport expecting to steal a few million pounds in cash. The Brinksmat security facility was supposed to be impenetrable, protected by cameras, alarms, and armed guards, but the thieves had insider knowledge. One of them was the brother-in-law of a security guard who had provided keys and details of the morning routine. What they found inside would change their lives forever, though not in the way they imagined. Instead of the expected cash, the vault contained 3 tons of gold bullion worth 26 million pounds, along with diamonds and other valuables. The thieves doused the guards with gasoline and threatened to set them ablaze unless they revealed the combinations. Within 2 hours, they had loaded the gold into a van and disappeared into the London morning. It was the largest robbery in British history at the time. The aftermath was a cascade of violence and paranoia. The gold was melted down and sold through a network of criminal contacts, but the heat from police investigations was relentless. Associates began turning on each other. Bodies started appearing. Over the following years, more than a dozen people connected to the heist were murdered in what became known as the Curse of Brinksmat. Some thieves were caught and imprisoned, but only a fraction of the gold was ever recovered. The rest remains somewhere in the world, possibly in your jewelry box, recast and untraceable. It proves that some fortunes are too large to enjoy in peace. The Lufthansa Heist. In the early morning of December 11, 1978, armed men entered a cargo building at John F. Kennedy Airport in New York. They were there for a routine shipment of cash and jewelry arriving from Germany via Lufthansa Airlines. The operation had been planned for months by members of the Lucchese crime family, fed intelligence by an insider who knew exactly when the most valuable cargo would arrive. The target was a vault that should have been heavily guarded but was vulnerable due to compromised security protocols. The thieves moved with precision, rounding up employees and disabling alarms. Within an hour, they had loaded approximately $6 million in cash and jewelry into a van. It was the largest cash robbery in American history at the time. The haul was so immense that the stolen bills weighed over a ton. The crew vanished into the winter darkness, leaving behind terrified workers and an empty vault. What followed was not celebration but paranoia and bloodshed. The mastermind, James Burke, became convinced that his associates would talk to authorities. One by one, those connected to the heist began disappearing. Bodies surfaced across New York, each death a message about the price of loose lips. Nearly a dozen people associated with the robbery were murdered in the months that followed. Despite the violence and multiple investigations, almost none of the money was ever recovered. Burke died in prison, never convicted of the heist itself. The Lufthansa robbery became a monument to criminal ambition undone by greed. It proves that the greatest threat to thieves is often each other. The Great Train Robbery. On August 8, 1963, a Royal Mail train departed from Glasgow carrying £2.6 million in used banknotes destined for destruction in London. The cargo was secured in a high-value package coach, guarded by postal workers who had no reason to expect trouble. The route was considered routine, the schedule predictable, but 15 men had spent months studying every detail of this journey, and they were waiting in the darkness near Bradego Bridge in Buckinghamshire. At precisely 3:03 a.m., the train's driver saw a red signal and brought the locomotive to a halt. It was a trap. The gang had rigged the signal using a glove and a battery. Within moments, masked men swarmed the engine. The driver, Jack Mills, was struck over the head with an iron bar, suffering injuries from which he would never fully recover. The violence shattered any romantic notion of gentlemen thieves. The robbers formed a human chain, passing 120 mail sacks containing cash from the train to waiting vehicles. The operation took just 17 minutes. By dawn, they had vanished into the countryside with what would be worth over £50 million today. Police soon tracked most of the gang to a remote farmhouse hideout where fingerprints on a Monopoly board and ketchup bottle led to arrests. 13 men received lengthy prison sentences, but only a fraction of the stolen money was ever recovered. Ronnie Biggs escaped from prison and fled to Brazil, becoming a celebrity outlaw. The heist demonstrated that even the most carefully planned crimes leave traces that human error cannot erase. The Hatton Garden safe deposit burglary. Over the Easter holiday weekend in 2015, while London slept, a group of pensioners began drilling through reinforced concrete. Hatton Garden, the heart of London's Diamond District, housed a secure vault filled with safety deposit boxes belonging to jewelers, merchants, and those who valued discretion. The building's security system included steel doors, an alarm, and walls designed to resist assault. The average age of the thieves was 60. They were men who had spent lifetimes in criminal enterprise, veterans of an era when safe cracking was a craft. They entered through the elevator shaft, abseiling down to the basement with equipment that weighed hundreds of pounds. Using a heavy-duty drill, they bored a hole through the 20-inch concrete wall, a process that took hours and created deafening noise. The alarm was triggered on the first night, but a private security guard dismissed it as a malfunction. The thieves returned the following evening to complete their work. Over 50 hours, they ransacked 73 safety deposit boxes, filling bags with cash, gold, diamonds, and jewelry. The estimated haul reached £14 million, though the true value remains unknown as many victims never reported their losses. Their downfall came not from forensic brilliance but from arrogance. They met at a pub to divide the spoils, speaking freely about the crime. Police surveillance captured their conversations. 7 men were arrested, most in their 60s and 70s. Roughly 2/3 of the stolen property was never recovered. It proves that age does not diminish audacity, only the wisdom to stay silent afterward. The Pierre Hotel robbery. On January 2nd, 1972, as wealthy guests slept off New Year's celebrations at Manhattan's Pierre Hotel, 4 men entered the lobby wearing tuxedos. They blended perfectly with the opulent surroundings, moving with the confidence of those who belonged. The Pierre was a symbol of luxury on Fifth Avenue, hosting celebrities, diplomats, and old money behind its elegant facade. Its guests trusted that their jewels and cash were secure in the hotel's safety deposit boxes. This confidence was about to be shattered. The men were not guests. They were members of a crew led by Bobby Comfort, working with precision born from meticulous planning. Within minutes, they had drawn weapons and taken control of the hotel. Staff and guests were rounded up and held at gunpoint while the thieves moved through the building with practiced efficiency. They knew exactly where to go. The lobby safe was opened, then the individual safety deposit boxes in the vault below. For hours, they methodically extracted jewels, cash, and securities while their hostages remained silent and terrified. By dawn, the thieves had vanished with an estimated $10 million, one of the largest hotel robberies in American history. The aftermath revealed suspicions of inside help and possible mob connections. Bobby Comfort was eventually arrested and convicted, but he never revealed his accomplices. More significantly, the vast majority of the stolen wealth was never recovered. The elegant hotel became a reminder that no vault is truly impenetrable when human ingenuity meets human greed. The Banco Central burglary. In the Brazilian city of Fortaleza, a landscaping company rented a modest property 2 blocks from the Banco Central in early 2005. The business appeared legitimate, with employees arriving regularly and equipment visible on site. Neighbors noticed nothing unusual about the operation. What they could not see was happening beneath their feet. For 3 months, a team of thieves excavated an 80-meter tunnel through soil and concrete. Working in shifts around the clock, they installed lighting, ventilation, and reinforced supports. The engineering feat rivaled professional mining operations, all conducted in complete silence and secrecy. On the weekend of August 6, 2005, the tunnel reached its destination directly beneath the bank's vault. The thieves breached the reinforced floor from below, bypassing every security system designed to detect entry from above or the sides. Over the course of the weekend, they systematically removed cash from safety deposit boxes and the main vault. When the bank opened on Monday morning, employees discovered the gaping hole in the floor and the empty vault. An estimated 164 million reais, approximately 65 million pounds, had vanished. It was the largest bank robbery in Brazilian history. Police eventually traced the tunnel back to the landscaping company and arrested several suspects. Only a fraction of the stolen money was ever recovered, and some members of the crew remain at large to this day. The heist demonstrates that the greatest vulnerabilities are often the ones no one thinks to guard against.